I think it's very difficult to manage a good transition without gas, because if we take away coal from the equation and we reduce the role of nuclear, which we are doing in countries like Germany, it's almost impossible to increase the renewable power generation without also increasing gas to manage intermittency and seasonality. And that's why I think the question goes back to, where do you source alternative gas? I think doing without gas for the next decade would be a big policy mistake, which would make it very difficult to manage the winter.
So what's the strategy then? Because it's hard to see that there'll be a similar amount of reliance on Russia as we get through this crisis. Do you think that there are avenues that Europe should explore to ensure that they do have adequate gas supplies without the Russians?
I think the key with gas security is always to sign long-term contracts. And that's something that Europe walked away from in the last 10 years, both towards Russia, but also towards LNG and alternative supplies. And I think the solution has to go through the signing of long-term contracts. And if long-term contracts are signed, for instance, for new LNG supply, LNG will come to Europe. But I think it's been the uncertainty around gas policy, the uncertainty around the role of gas in the energy transition, including the EU green taxonomy, that has not allowed companies to sign the long-term contracts which are necessary to ensure the security of supply for Europe.
Michele, let me come in on the report, because I'm very fascinated by hydrogen and whether ultimately, after a number of false starts, we are now at a potential off-ramp for hydrogen where we can see technological breakthroughs that make this cost-effective, scalable and attractive as an investment opportunity. Just give us the pitch very quickly.
Absolutely. And it relates to what we just talked about. If we want to go to net zero, we can't do it just through renewable power. We need something that takes today's role of natural gas, especially to manage seasonality and intermittency, and that is hydrogen. It's a very powerful molecule. We can use it for heavy transport, we can use it for heating, and we can use it for heavy industry. The key is to produce it without CO2 emissions. And that's why we talk about green, we talk about blue hydrogen. Whether we do it with electrolysis or we do it with carbon capture, we need to generate hydrogen in a clean way. And once we have it, I think we have a solution that could become one day at least 15% of the global energy markets, which means it would be over $1 trillion market per annum. That's why I think we need to focus on hydrogen as the successor of natural gas in a net zero world.
Give us the stocks that we should be investing in if we want to take advantage of that growth from here on in.
There's two ways to invest in hydrogen. One is to buy the pure play electrolyzer companies, which have the pure exposure to hydrogen. The other way is to invest through conglomerates which already have hydrogen as part of their ongoing businesses, which include energy service companies, it includes industrial gas companies, oil and gas companies. There's a lot of companies that already operate in the hydrogen chain, but we do expect the hydrogen market to grow 7-fold from here. And if you just focus on green hydrogen, to grow 200-fold over the next decade.